This is the Relentless Podcast. My name is Christine. I'm a small business owner and student of success. I have become obsessed with talking with other entrepreneurs about their strategies, struggles, tactics, and routines. One of the key qualities that all of these individuals have in common, their ability to be relentless. Welcome back to a very special retail therapy episode of the Relentless Podcast. In addition to talking with today's guest about her entrepreneurial journey and hearing about her thriving business, we are going to talk shop, talk a little shit, and talk about all the ups and downs of running a retail business. So welcome to the show, Amanda Rago.
Thank you.
So for people in the area who are not familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this business.
So my name's Amanda Rago, and I come from a background of hospitality.
Okay.
So I used to run restaurants, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And just by happenstance, I now own my own gift shop and eclectic goods store in downtown Geneva.
Murphy's Market, correct? So before we get into our retail therapy session, you were working with the Parker's franchise before, correct?
Yep. There was 7 locations, and I loved it. I lived and breathed everything about it. I reminisce about the days before COVID.
Yep.
When I would pull up to a new location every single day and go inside and, try to inspire everybody. We'd come up with new dishes, new drinks, and, just clean up and get to talk with all of the employees and the customers. I loved that stuff.
Yeah.
But COVID did a number on me.
Yeah.
And it happens. It was extremely stressful. I remember every single day I would have to tune it. I'd have the owner, Pete, would call me and say, "What are you doing?" Because he was in Florida.
Yeah.
And I would say, "You can't call me right now. I have to watch the governor's,
Yeah.
the
daily update of regulations." Yeah.
Which got very frustrating because I absolutely had to listen to that. And I had to listen very clearly. I had to write everything down.
Mm-hmm.
I know other restaurant owners and managers felt the same way because as soon as it was said, it was enforced.
Right.
But it was also not very clear.
Yeah.
Things were insane. I mean, they had sting operations going around after, one of his, what's the word I'm looking for?
Press conference.
Yes, thank you. One of his press conferences, and it was like, are you kidding? I didn't realize that this was
right now. Yeah.
So it was every day it was something new, and there was a big change in hospitality.
Yeah.
About how you take care of your employees and how you take care of your customers, and when to stand up for your business and when to stand up for your customers. And it was the end of the customer's always right.
Yeah.
And
there was, God love customers, but there was some customer abuse coming at you guys hard.
It was.
And I think everybody was freaking out, rightfully so. Nobody knew what was happening. And and I don't think leadership really knew what was happening or how to manage it. So a lot of the regulations being thrown at you didn't make a whole lot of sense. And they wanted to ask you why.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, I don't know either, dude. Just follow me. You know what I mean?
On multiple times a day, I would get phone calls from restaurant employees from all 7 locations.
Yeah.
Hey, a customer came in. Can we let them inside?
Yeah.
Do they have to wait outside? Do they have to wear their mask? Do they have to do this? Do they have to order food with alcohol? Can they still buy growlers? It was an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
And to run 7 of them, all the managers were really great and everybody.
Yeah.
But I was losing my mind. My husband was like, you can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And I went through a very deep depression. It was at the end of August of 2021 or 2020. And I said, I'm taking a break here.
Yeah.
I need to take a vacation. And Pete was like, who's going to do this or whatever. And I was like, figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm taking
Gotta
a week
do
and a
it.
half.
Yeah.
And the first day that I was off, I had our new executive chef who is gone. I wish I never hired him. But, called, hey, we're getting sued because of this or whatever. And I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
call Pete. I
Yeah.
started seeing a therapist. It was amazing. I recommend everybody goes to a therapist.
Yeah.
I really do. It does you wonders.
Yeah.
Just to be able to talk to somebody who's
Yeah.
not on a side and
Yep.
can just hear you out.
Yep.
But it was shortly after that where I said, you know what? I started putting pressure on Pete.
Mm-hmm.
I was hired. We had an agreement. It was his retirement plan where, he would, we just had an agreement that we were going to do this and I would end up owning all 7.
Okay.
And take over and he can live out his retirement life.
Yeah.
I get what I've always wanted, which was to, own my own hospitality business.
Yeah.
And, we both made out in the end. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the stresses of COVID, we started butting heads really, really bad.
Yeah.
And we're still friends,
Yeah.
It's totally fine. It was all business and we both know that.
Great.
But no, I was like, I hit a wall where I said, I want to do something that makes me happy. So I started looking inside and it's, what does make me happy?
Mm-hmm.
I like to give.
Yeah.
So.
And what are you good at? Because I think you and I, when we talked privately too, you were saying that, you've kind of been known for your gift giving.
Yep.
And your ability to put unique goods together and package them in a special way. It's not just, here's your gift, here's the thing. It's all about that. So it was like you finally had this opportunity to step back and say, what do I like? What makes me happy? And what am I good at? And can I make money doing it?
Yeah.
So it's like that perfect, sometimes looking back, it's like you can almost see things coming together at a certain time. And it sounds like that's what happened for you.
It did. I remember it was a Sunday. We always go to my in-laws on Sunday for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said to my husband, I said, I'm not up for it. And he was like, okay, and he left. And it was like 5 minutes after, I was like, I got it. I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So he came home. I mean, he saw me like very down and out. And then he comes home with the kids. And I'm like, I'm going to quit my job and start my own business.
He's like, honey, have you
He's
been
like,
drinking?
What the fuck is happening? But he's so supportive. Anything that I needed, he was like, what do I got to do? He just wanted to see me happy, which was really great.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, my husband and I have had conversations like that too. And I mean, it gets to the point where I'm like, I would rather at least struggle with money for a little bit than see you living a life that you're not happy with. I mean, one of the things that COVID and just becoming like a real ass grown up is you start to realize that your time is limited and that, I mean, you can have your whole life planned out and things are going to change. And so it's like, I just don't want to waste time doing something that makes me feel empty. I want to do something, even when it's hard, even when we cry and yell and have days where we're like, oh my God, why did I do this?
Yep.
There are still so many more times where it just fills you up. And so,
less regrets.
And actually what inspired this episode while we're on this line here is that the last few months preparing for our holiday seasons coming up and coming out of a summer, you and I both had a little bit of like a physical manifestation of anxiety and stress from business. So I'm like, Amanda, we need to have a talk on the mic and talk about what's going on. So tell us a little bit about what was going on.
So I had an insane summer.
Yeah.
Luckily I had an intern. It was my cousin. She's the only other person that has worked with me. And so I had her to lean on, but at the end of August, she left. She went back to school at Cortland.
Yeah.
So here it's just me again. And
I can't.
I have to prep for holiday, fall, I do a ladies' night every month.
Yeah.
And I just felt like all of these new, big, exciting things were happening. So yes, I was very excited, but it was also, I was going for a grant, a huge grant. And I had to write it myself. So not only was I going for my own grant, I also do some administrative work for a friend of mine for his hospitality businesses.
In your free time, you do that. Yeah.
And, yes. But I don't know if I'll ever leave hospitality. It's gonna somehow incorporate into my business. I do know that as it grows.
Yeah.
But, so I was essentially writing 2 grants.
Oh my
gosh. You know, I had one of these weeks where it was super exciting, but I felt the pressure.
Yeah.
And it was a Friday. I went down to work and all of a sudden, you know, I started shaking. I started feeling a little lightheaded and I thought, maybe I need some sugar. Yeah. And so I opened up one of those Celsius drinks and then I thought, you know, maybe an energy drink is not what I need right now. So I just started chugging water and it just got worse and worse and worse. And so, I mean, I always knew that I had undiagnosed anxiety, but I didn't realize it was this bad. So it really presented itself. I thought I was having a heart attack. Yeah. I ended up, you know, on all fours on the floor of my store. I called 911 saying I have a heart attack. Yeah. And, you know, everybody's anxiety attacks are different, but this was the first time I actually felt like this. Yeah. I thought I was dying. Yeah. I actually said to the dispatcher, please don't let me die. I have 2 kids. Yeah. And you could just hear it in her voice. She was like, I promise they're going to be right there. Yeah. And so I ended up in the emergency room for hours. Yeah. You know, they ended up giving me drugs. I think it was Ativan. Mm-hmm. I'm not a pill popper or anything like that, but I left the emergency room with 6 pills. Yeah. And I was like, thank God, because if at the smallest inkling that it would happen again, I would pop one of those pills.
It's the scariest feeling.
I have never felt like that before. It was outrageous. Just everything coming through. I mean, I was hooked up to a 12-lead EKG. Yeah. While they're testing my blood sugar on the phone with the woman. The grants were due that day by 3.
Oh my God.
On the phone with the woman from Ostranders, you know, Nicola, you have to call David West. Like, you have to let him know I need an extension. This is an emergency. I can't. Like, I cannot lose out on this. Yeah. I cannot let this other man lose out on this just because of what's going on. Right. Luckily, you know, they helped me out. Yeah. Because I was even on these drugs. I was a zombie for days, and my husband was very concerned, and and I was looking forward to this doctor's appointment, which didn't work out. Yeah. But, you know.
Yep. So that had to be so scary. And I mean, I've had
go on too, didn't you?
I did, actually.
So what, 2 days before mine? I read your post and I was like, it happens to the best of us.
Same.
And then it's like, I go through
I basically give you permission to have your meltdown. No, so this actually wasn't panic attack, but I was not feeling myself, and I've had vasovagal syncope in the past from pain, where like the pain will get really, really bad. It shoots my blood pressure up. Oh. My body's like, uh-oh, and kicks it back down, and I drop. But I had never had it from stress. Yeah. And I was at work the night before, and I was in the back room, and I was like, we're bringing in all of our Christmas stuff, which if anybody doesn't know, Christmas is like a year-round process. So like I get the orders in January.
And you change your whole store around. Your entire store, like you go from everything regular to every single thing is Christmas almost.
Yeah. I don't know how you do that. Put myself in this situation. But we do. Christmas is my favorite time. But stuff starts arriving in July. And they arrive like multiple pallets at a time. It's, you know, getting everything opened. You have 14 days to get them in if you are going to put in a claim. And then we have to find a place to store it. Mm-hmm. I mean, storage is not very easy in a lot of these old buildings. So we store it. It has to get then put into the system. It's just a huge thing. And we're in tight quarters. And so I was in the back, and I was probably like tripping over cardboard. And I was just like, I just need to like get this ready. And I dropped. And I was like, I had recorded a podcast that day. I'm like, I probably just didn't eat. Like, same as you. I'm like, I gotta drink some water. I must be dehydrated. So I went to bed early that night, went out on my walk the next day, and I think I was going to come in here, and I'm on my walk, and I'm like, this is great. Well, it happened to get in my driveway. All of a sudden, I start seeing the stars, and I go down, and I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is just – and again, it was like nothing is wrong with me medically. And I mean – I start thinking about it, and I'm like, I feel like last October I had some tests done too, because literally the stress manifests itself into this physical symptom, and it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have an episode once where I had a full-on panic attack. I actually my staff laughs at me. I have baby aspirin in my purse because I'm so afraid it's going to lead to a heart attack.
Baby aspirin. I have hydroxyzine.
There we go.
Ready to go.
But I mean, and it's, everybody talks about the stress, but I don't know that enough people talk about the fact that it can be so much, and you can literally have moments where you fall apart. And like you and I were talking off camera, our generation is built to like go hard, keep going, do all these things. And it's like, if you don't take some time for yourself, like something's going to give you a day off.
Yep.
And so
you're not going to be able to choose that day off.
Yeah. And that's terrifying. And especially like for you have children. And so it's like, you need to show up as a mom and a wife.
Because if there's something that, especially while my intern is at school, I don't have anybody else right now. So if there's something, one of my kids are too sick to be able to keep them in the back room at the store, or, like with what happened last Friday, I have to close.
Yeah.
And that, closing on a Friday.
Yeah.
And it's still tourist season.
Yeah.
It ain't good.
Yeah.
That affects.
And that adds stress too.
Yeah, and it does. Because, as much as I was happy I wasn't having a heart attack and that I was alive.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is another thing that's wrong with our generation. I thought, how much revenue did I miss out on today?
Yeah.
Because I had to close.
Yeah. Well, and, when you texted me, too, one of the things that I think I sent you, I'm like, one more thing.
Yeah.
I was like, just so you know, this isn't your inability to manage.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was like, this happens to me.
Yep.
I've talked to other people. This has happened to them. It's a lot. And, and that's why we were talking the other day about how someone was like, you just can't take people being rude personally. Like, don't take it personally. It's not about you. And it's like, I know. It's true. It's not. It's like, but it's so fucking personal because it's like I'm literally putting my health and my wellness and my time and everything. When you're at the store and doing things, it's time away from your kids.
Yep.
And it's time away from your husband. And it's like, it is personal because you are giving so much of yourself to this. And it's like, I think it's really important for people listening, because not just in retail, everybody goes through these, stressful seasons. And it's like, I think people need to know, like, it's not you. It's hard sometimes, And
another thing with, like I said, before COVID, it was always, the customer's always right.
Yeah.
I am someone who really likes to let people know, if you're gonna give it to me and you're gonna be rude, I'm gonna give it right back.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let you know you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm that type of person. Mm-hmm. And COVID did a number on me. It changed me mentally.
Yeah.
Where, if you come in my store and you say, who the fuck is Murphy?
Yeah.
Why? Like, who is this? Like, what is this store?
Yeah.
This used to be a bar. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell do you think is going on here?
I know.
It's my fucking store. Get the fuck out. You think I have time to deal with your bullshit? No. Chances are that person's not going to buy shit from me anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it's those moments. It's so unnecessary.
It is.
And I don't know when the lines of communication got blurred. I mean, I'm never somebody who would go on someone's Facebook or Instagram post and talk crap. It's just not me. But I know there are people out there who do that. But there were people who would do that there, but not in real life.
Yeah.
And somewhere it crossed over to like, oh, this is a business. This isn't a person. I mean, I read some of the messages that Brad has gotten on photos too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, over a magnet?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to eviscerate someone, tell them that their business is terrible. You're never going to order from them again. They usually do.
Yeah.
And, how dare he not respond to that 10 p.m. message and wait till 8 o'clock the next morning? And it's just like, no offense, but who do you think you are? And how you really think you're the center of the universe? I mean,
I completely agree. And that's
so
honestly the timing on things too, since you bring that up, where, somebody sends you an email at, 9:15 p.m. and you don't get back to them until 10 a.m. the next day. When your workday starts, they're like, why didn't I hear from you sooner?
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm not Amazon.
Yeah.
This is not how I work. I completely put that disclaimer on every single one of my orders.
Yeah.
It's 3 to 5 days for this, 5 to 7 days for this.
Yeah.
I'm the only one here.
Yeah. And I think that reasonable people,
they understand.
They get it.
Yeah.
And they appreciate because you are doing you're putting those extra touches on orders.
Yep.
This is an eclectic gift market and you are finding unique things that you can't just find anywhere.
Yeah.
And you don't take it lightly, because that's the other thing that, it's interesting, when these things happen and I think, oh, that person's ridiculous. They're just a miserable person. I will stew on that conversation for at least a week. I will have like all these conversations in my mind. And again, I'm like, oh, but they don't matter. And my husband will be like, have you let that go yet? I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about it. And then I'm like laying awake at night because again, it's personal. And I was listening to Marilla and Beth have a podcast, and they were talking with Dick Austin from Bella's Steakhouse, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, I've gotten better. I don't respond to customers right away. And he said, but if I have an employee come back in the kitchen in tears, he said, there's just no reason.
Yeah.
There is nothing that can happen in that, interaction that would give you the right to treat someone like that. And so I've gotten better, particularly when people are rude to staff, which in my business, luckily, it doesn't happen very often, but because it's just so unnecessary. And we go above and beyond for people. I had to stop responding to messages late at night because I kept saying to myself, I'm conditioning these people to message me late at night.
Yep.
And I literally will put the phone on silent. I have my Fitbit, so I'll see if a family's message comes through. But otherwise, we have a separate store phone now. I don't have anything come through to my private cell. And I had to set those boundaries.
That's really important, setting those boundaries. And that's what put me into a bad state. With COVID, with the owner of Parker's and, the restaurant, and everybody coming at you at once.
Yeah.
Not putting boundaries in place will completely ruin you.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that was very important to me when I started my business, is I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it right. You build it, they will come. I know that I can do this. Yeah. But I'm not going to do this, and this. Yeah. I will always have Sundays and Mondays off. Yep. It's just that my kids are young. I have 2 boys under 6. Yeah. And I want to go to their school functions. I want to do this. I would rather close my store for an hour to go and see their school play or see them graduate from kindergarten. Yeah. Versus sit at my store, for the lunch hour where, 3 or 4 people come in. I'm sorry. You can work around my hours. You can work around this. I'm very forward with what I have to offer. And if I can't do something, I'll tell you. I'll let you know right away. Or, hey, I made a mistake. Or, hey, this. Yeah. Be respectful of my boundaries. And I try not to answer anything late at night.
Yeah. I find that the right people respect that.
They do.
And it's a hard thing. I'm a people pleaser, so I want everyone to love me and like me and approve of everything I do and, all the things. But I have gotten so much better. We have a few people online too. And there was one woman, I blocked her and I don't even know if she knows, but there were always just little comments, and they were just nasty.
Yeah.
And unnecessary. And I finally was like, you know what? We don't need this. And actually, it was a comment that they made about one of my staff, which put me over the edge because I was like, I can take it. But, but I was like, no, this is just, nope, we don't need it. It's just, I think it's healthy to create that and just focus on the customers who are amazing. Because, I mean, we have so many, you know, and it just makes for a better working environment.
My therapist actually pointed something out to me because I walked in there one day and I was like, why are people just assholes?
Yeah.
Why do they go out of their way to be an asshole to me?
Yeah.
Well, I am, like, me and the staff is doing everything that they can to try and make it so that you can still come in and eat.
Yeah.
You know, because at this time I was working back in the restaurant industry. Why are people just straight assholes?
Yeah.
And he said that's their own insecurity.
Yeah.
Which kind of put things into perspective for me.
Yeah.
So people who hide behind their computer or hide behind their phone and just leave nasty messages online or comments where everybody can see, it's their own insecurity. And once that was put into perspective for me, it's like, okay, all right, now that's it. I get it.
Yeah. 100%.
So you can say whatever you want to, but
Well, now I want to shift a little bit. So we're getting ready for the holiday season. So what's coming up for you? What are you working on for that? Anything exciting?
I'm scared.
This is your second Christmas in business, right?
This is my second Christmas.
Okay.
But it's my first Christmas at my permanent location.
Okay. That's right. You did the pop-up last.
I did a
That's
pop-up.
right.
I did a 2-month pop-up, which is kind of like dipping my toes into the brick and mortar world to see if it would work. And on week 2, I sat there and I said, I need a spot. Yeah. So now that I have my own place, it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
Christmas is, I mean, if you're in the hospitality industry, it is like a Friday night in the middle of summer on the best sunniest night where everybody wants to party. Yeah. Or it's commencement weekend at Hobart and William Smith and every single family wants to come in and dine. I mean, that's, 8 weeks of holiday. That's exactly what it is.
Right.
And it's balls to the wall, busy all the time. And it's intimidating. Yeah. I've ordered my products and I've been, getting my gift boxes in and, trying to figure out how to do the, ready to ship stuff. Yeah. I do a lot of custom gifts. So those are kind of on the fly. But it's insane. My store is small. I have zero storage. I was telling you, I have a basement, which I can use. Yeah. I want to yeet myself off the stairs onto, the 5th stair. Yep. Because my landlord's built a bathroom over the first, 3 stairs, which is it's up to code. But,
these old buildings are bizarre.
I know. And I'm in a downtown building too. I absolutely love the character that it offers. Yeah. It's amazing. But, it's little things like that where.
Comes with quirks and no storage.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but, that's another thing is I have to figure out where I'm going to store everything. I have to figure out how I'm going to display things. I mean, this is my first time. Yeah. And, somebody living with anxiety, when I get overwhelmed, it's like, I need to take a nap.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you because it's every year I go into it. And like I say, Christmas is like my Super Bowl. I've loved Christmas since I was little. When I first was diagnosed with anxiety and I was using distraction, I would put on a Christmas movie. Like that was like my warm hug was like Christmas. So now fast forward to me being in business and it's like I still have this adoring love for Christmas, all things Christmas, but it's also tied up with this crazy amount of stress. So every year I go into it and I'm like, Christine, be in the moment, enjoy this. Because I keep reminding myself too that like, for the most part, it's good stress. Like I say, we don't have a ton of customers who get like that holiday shopping rude. Like that's very few and far between. For the most part, people come in and they're genuinely excited to be there. And I love seeing them, looking at everything. And so I always try to like be present. And, you know, every year we've gotten a little bit better at preparing for things ahead of time. Like you say, get your ready to ship stuff. Get it, you know, in advance as much as you can. One of the toughest things, and I don't know if other industries are the same way, but like I say, stuff starts shipping in July. And this is our first year that we're on terms. And it was out of necessity because I used to outlay all of the money in July. And I mean, our Christmas order is about $85,000. So it was like, you're coming out of June and July, which suck.
Insane, Chris.
The J months suck. If anybody doesn't know, support local in those months. They're terrible.
Yep.
But, and then you're outlaying this money and then it sits on the shelves until November.
Yep.
And so this was the first time. So if you're not on terms, I'm telling you, it's a game changer because now at least the invoices don't come due till December 1st. Because the constant juggling that you have to do of finances and cash flow is, I'm still getting my bearings and we're 8 years in.
Is hard. It is really hard. There's been quite a few times where the first time was actually when I first started getting orders in through my website.
Yeah.
And, you know, it says on there, deposits next day. It does not.
Does not.
It has to clear.
Correct.
It comes in, you know, 5-6 days later.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God, I have bills coming. You know, just trying to figure out all those things because I go through my website. Another website could be different. You know, just I did a lot of research, but maybe not on the right thing. It didn't. It's hard. The juggle is real. I am not gonna lie. It is real. There's a lot of transfers going on from
all the time.
Personal account. And you try and keep things as right as they can be. Yep. It's hard.
It is. It is. And I mean, I think that contributes a lot to the anxiety we talked about because it is. And I mean, and for you, you know, it's juggling all of that. For me too, I worry about my people. I'm like, I can't pay them late. They have bills.
Yep.
I'm like, so, okay. So like you say, personal account, I'm covering this till the deposit goes in. And you know, and I have moments where I'm like, what am I missing?
Yeah.
I've got to be missing something here. And I'll talk to people. And that's when someone told me about terms too, which when I first started out, I didn't really have great established credit. So they're like, we need to see, you know, from 3 brands that you are in. And I'm like, but I just started. I don't have that. And they're like, well,
what terms are you? So what are your terms? I'm on a net 60 with a certain platform. Those are the only terms that I have.
So all of our stuff through Fair, which is our clothing and our candles and Poppy Popcorn, we have net 60 with them. And then with Creative Co-op and Raz Imports, our home lines, like I say, I was paying with either credit card or our line of credit up front and doing it that way. But it was tying up money. And because we carry clothing and home, I would, you know, spend all the money on our line of credit on the Christmas stuff, which was sitting. But our home or our clothing stuff, we had to do drops every week because it just goes so fast.
I've seen that.
And so it was like, shit, like I can't keep up with the demand. And I don't want, like, people will move on so quick if you don't have stuff. And so having enough and buying enough is just, it's something I struggle with because we carry such a big product line. And so sometimes I'm like, God, I really shot myself in the foot by doing this.
Clothing too, you have to, with the amount of sizes that you offer.
Oh, yes.
It's insane the amount of income that you have to, you know, dish into that upfront.
Yes.
That's another thing. I offer, I don't even want to call them lines, but I have 2 different clothing vendors, and one's a local t-shirt company called Mighty Seneca. Yeah. They give me whatever colors they want, whatever sizes they have, and that's it. And then a friend of mine does Buffalo Bills.
Yes, I love that.
Like sweatshirts and, you know, kids t-shirts and stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of people will say, you know, do you have this in this size? And it's like, what I have is out there. Because
I know.
That's what I have. I don't know how you do that. I cannot. No clothing here. I can't.
It's challenging, and it's funny because when we started, we didn't have clothing. We were just home goods and jewelry. I made jewelry. And I was like, I felt like there was a need for it. And because basically any clothes that people got locally was either like out at the outlet mall or TJ Maxx.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I think and I've always loved clothing. I've had an eye for it. And it was just something that felt right to me. And so we did it. And one of the biggest questions we get, do you carry plus sizes? Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, we didn't. We had product lines like POL where like I'm in a small. So like they run nice and full. And so there were, options for people. But so we take the leap, we get the plus sizes and they sit. And now all of a sudden we have all this money tied up in that. And the smalls sell out the first day. Every time we drop something, smalls are gone.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe we don't have enough variety. So I'm like, okay, we're going to get jeans. We got leggings. We got sweatshirts. I'm like, okay. We brought in a swim line. I'm like, we got to get plus swim.
Yeah.
Very few of the plus sizes go.
But then you'll get
But then we'll get someone who will come in and be like, I'm so happy you have this. I can't. And I'm like, damn it. I'm like, I was just going to cut the line. And so that has been a real challenge because I had to say to myself, I'm like, okay, I can either double the packs of small through large and fill the need of people who are wanting the smalls and mediums, or I can hope that these are going to reach people. And so that's been a struggle. And, for people who don't know, when you order clothes, it's not a la carte. You're getting a pack.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, a lot of times they tell you, they'll say it's 321 or 222, and this is how it's coming. So you can't just say, okay, we have a lot of need for like an extra large or 1X, so I'll just get that. So, each, just to get another sweater in can be a $300 pack just for one item. And so it's challenging.
And then there's minimums. And then, you know what I mean? There is a lot to, when people complain about what you do or don't offer.
Yeah.
I've had people come in and say, well, I really wanted this, but you don't have it anymore. It's, I'm sorry, I can't get that. Well, why not?
Yeah.
Because just to order that one product, I have to spend $500 and they don't have anything good that I want right now. I'm sorry. This is what's going on. I won't have that until holiday, or I won't have that until spring.
Yeah. Well, and there's something people like that they're finding things at your store that they don't see everywhere. And you don't want to oversaturate the market. No. This is like the line you have to walk because we live in a small area. Yeah. And so you don't want everyone walking down the street with the same sweater or the same cute hat or whatever. Yeah. And I had a woman come in today. And she's like, I saw a sweatshirt here last September. And Jenna and I are kind of like, and she's like, you don't by any chance have that still, do you? And I mean, it's one of those moments like, you're like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, first of all, you think we don't sell anything, correct? I know. To carry it for 12 months? Yeah.
Well, clothing wise, yeah. I mean, there are some things where I will always carry it. I mean, I don't really have sales.
Right.
I try and keep things, if I'm going to order something for holiday, it's minimal.
Yep.
Or if I have any left, I'm keeping it until the following year. Yep. I want things to be broad. I want to be able to keep them. I don't want to waste money.
Yeah.
So, that type of stuff, I get it.
Yeah. We have our, now that we have food, and our eco candles have always been a staple and things like that. It's, we try to never let those get to zero anymore. That's really the goal. But, like I say, it's kind of part of the process and part of the fun. Like we do these weekly drops for clothes, and people know if you want it, you're grabbing that item because it's not going to be here in a month. And, you have that thing where people will be like, oh, I'll think on it. Maybe I'll come back. And then they come back 3 months later and they're like, oh, you don't have my size. Or else someone will send me a message with the cry faces. Yeah. And I'm like, you thought it was a sales pitch when we told you to like jump on it. But it's like, it's not, you know what I mean? And it's just a hard thing to balance. But, we're, like you said before, we're not Amazon. And so we can't have 1,000 of this product.
Oh, no.
Unless it's the only one in the store.
There's some things where I only have 3 of.
Yeah.
Where that maybe don't move as quickly, but I know will sell.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. And when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
I do try and, like I said, I do have a lot of staples in my store that will probably be in there for a while.
Yeah.
Because I just know that they'll fit in any gift box. They'll, they're really good for stocking stuffers or anything. They're very broad spectrum. So I will keep them in there. But, other things, when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And
what's your process for putting in orders? Do you go to shows? Do you do it online?
I've never been to a show.
Me either. I haven't either. And my friend, she runs Rustic Barn in Connecticut. And every year she's like, did you book Atlanta? And I'm like, no. But I'm a little bit intimidated to go because...
Is it like auction style?
No. So they have it set up. It's basically like this massive mall and it's hundreds of brands. They have all their stuff out. So it's a really good way to discover brands that you might not know. It's basically like, are you familiar with Fair?
That's pretty much one of the only platforms that I use.
So it's basically that in person.
Ooh.
Yes. So it's terrifying. And I'm like, I have to go with a budget? What? I feel like it would be
brands on Fair that we haven't discovered yet.
So hard. So it is my goal to go. It's one of those things too that they're in January and then they're in the summer. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I need to like put that in my budget so that I can say like, okay, we're going to go and do this. And we just haven't yet. I know. Just write it off. But yeah, so you do it online as well.
I do. And I stumbled across Fair. I don't even know how it was marketed towards me. I don't know.
They're fantastic. We shifted all of ours to there.
I love their terms. I've placed some orders that the businesses never fulfilled. And it was just, one of them was an overseas order for bridal robes, like the satin bridal robes that I was going to customize. And the order was never fulfilled and they just credited me right back.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's a good platform.
Yeah.
And I love that I can go on there and pretty much find anything that I want to. I'm inspired by a lot of different things. Yeah. I surf Pinterest all the time. I surf the web all the time. I'm always just things that I see on the street. I'll see a certain color and I think I need this color.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
I'm thinking something like this. I don't know. I just get inspired all the time. And I love that, certain platforms like that makes it easier for us to get those types of items to get to our customers.
Yeah.
I also make a lot of my stuff.
I was going to ask you about that because I know you do a lot of the projects and stuff. And they
ass right now, Christine. If you were to see some of the things that I'm making, there's just little piles of messes everywhere because I have really bad ADHD. It's both really good and really bad for business.
Yep.
But I will go from one thing to the other whenever I feel like it. Like last night I was making glass, they're like made of beads, but glass ornaments are in the shape of grapes.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like different colored gold in light green and dark green, teardrop beads.
Yeah.
So like in this spiral.
Oh, how fun.
And with like a golden leaf on top and like this small little linen tag that says Seneca Lake because, I have a cricket,
how
so
cool.
I print everything. And it takes 1,000,000 hours to make.
Yep.
But, somebody's going to talk shit about it being $22. It's like,
they're going to go,
what do you think this is? I'm sorry. It is handcrafted goods.
Oh my
gosh. I have that. I have garlands, wreaths. I wasn't able to do it last year, but I'm very determined to do it this year.
Okay.
Last year, my husband, we bought, it was like a 10-foot tree, Christmas tree.
Okay.
And he shaved off like 2 or 3 feet. Because we have like 7-foot ceilings.
Yeah.
So we needed a shorter tree. But then he shaves off the branches and I make garlands and stuff out of bottom ones. And I wasn't able to sell them last year. But this year I'm going all out. I'm making,
Be fun to do like a wreath making night or something for one of your ladies' nights. That would be fun.
So actually, if we want to talk growth of the market, when I say that I want to bring hospitality into, there's a lot of things that I've been working on.
Okay.
So I I want to get a liquor license
Okay.
at some point.
Yeah.
And this isn't like, giving away all my ideas, but I want to get a liquor license so that you can have a glass of champagne and shop.
Yeah.
But also I can offer private events.
Yeah.
And, you can come and have a couple glasses of wine or whatever and learn how to make a wreath.
Yeah.
My friend is my best friend, an amazing makeup artist.
Yeah.
And she said, there's a lot of people that don't know how to do makeup for their age.
Yes.
Do you want to do a class? I have all these opportunities to do these classes, which I'm very excited about, making your own perfume, like clean perfumes and stuff like that. I just need the space.
Yeah.
Because having to transform my entire store for one is hard.
It's tough.
And I have all of my furniture I've thrifted somehow. I've either picked it up off the side of the road or bought it for, $3. But moving it is hard. It's like old
industrial spools and yes.
And I'm here by myself, and I have to say to customers that walk in, "Don't mind me."
I know.
As some beads of sweat are dripping down my face, I'm just rearranging.
Yep.
Sorry, I wasn't able to come in this morning. My son threw up.
Yeah.
Someone had a rash. And,
life happened.
Someone couldn't find their shoes. And, But there's classes and private events or something that I'm very excited to be able to start offering them soon. I just have to find space.
That's exciting. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a market for that. And having more of a creating an experience with shopping for, I think that's really exciting. And the classes, I mean, anytime there's the artist lounge in Seneca Falls, she does paint and sip, and people love it. And it's just sometimes you just want to go out and have fun and not sit at a bar and have drinks, but actually do something. People love to craft, but not everybody's like us who will just sit there and have piles of random stuff and, put it together and make it pretty. So I think that's awesome.
I think that, and not to dwell on COVID, which by the way is almost 4 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
How insane is that?
I know.
But it was such a shift in everybody. It was just a shift in the universe. People stopped going out to eat late. Everybody wonders, how come every place closes in Geneva so early?
Yeah.
It's not us wanting to not be here for you or be open for you. It's that people stopped coming out late.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why every place. So Geneva is actually one of those places where most places aren't open that late. Right. Because people stopped coming. Yeah. Everybody wanted to go home, and stay home. They wanted to come out earlier if they were going to come out at all. Yeah. And that's another thing with the types of events that are offered. So I started offering this ladies' night once a month. It's the only time where I do discounts. You come in, you pick an envelope. It's anywhere between 10 to 25% off. Yeah. I usually, that's when I launch, a lot of my new products. Yeah. And I have refreshments, and we have the Lynx permanent jewelry. Yeah. My friends are there doing that. And people love it. In the first couple months, everybody has said nobody does stuff like this anymore.
I know.
And it's you can't really blame people because people stopped coming. I know. But I do think that there was definitely a shift, and the market's out there. People want to do stuff, especially busy moms.
Yep. They need an excuse to go out and just say, you know what, I need to escape. Yep. I agree with you. And it's so hard because we try to, keep our ear and say, okay, what are people doing? What are the patterns? What are the shopping patterns? We adjusted our hours. In the past, we would close at 5. Mm-hmm. And over the last year, I'm we are so busy from 4 to 4:45. And I'm this is the busiest we were all day. And I'm for the longest time, nobody came in after 3. What the heck? So we adjusted. And now on our weeknights, we're open until 7.
How's it going?
It's going very well. I'm telling you right now, summer, I can look at the data. I can't figure out anything from summer. There is no usable information because, we would have times that would typically be busy, and we're thank God for online because this is scary. And I'm is the road blocked off? It was wild because we would have no store traffic. And then on a Tuesday morning, we're sweating. We're there's a line for the fitting room, and we're just what? It's so hard. But I just kept saying, I go, guys, we got to be consistent. That's what if we're consistent, it'll be fine. And there are still some nights from 5 to 7 where Jenna will do, some of the back end work, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
And then there are other times where we'll have, our biggest sales of the day between 5 and 7. So
it is tough. And I'm a data-driven person.
yeah.
So having it be my first year, I'm still within my first year because, I did a lot of stuff, before I got my first actual brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But part of me thinks that doesn't really count. You know what I mean? It's not data.
Yeah.
I only have so much to go off of from that.
Yeah.
But now, like, having my own brick and mortar, going by the data, I still don't understand stuff. I don't know. I'll ask Yvette from Earthly Possessions.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you expect for Columbus Day? And she'll throw something at me like, oh, it's one of our busiest days of the year. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah. It is.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
And it's one of those things.
Yeah.
And so I'm just flying by the seat of my pants right now. I have no idea what to expect. I know Christmas is going to be busy.
Yep. Get ready for Black Friday. Line up all the deals.
I'm trying, but I'm just kind of, I keep a journal, mostly every day
helpful.
Of, what were the busiest times or time frames, whether that's going to help me next year or not. I don't know. Because things are just ever changing.
Yeah, I do. I work with my uncle who was an accountant for Pfizer. He's retired now, and now he's my accountant. And he'll send me monthly year-to-year reports. So, and it's like you can kind of start to see the trends because, and thank God for that. Because like I say, the J months, January, June, July, are brutal for retail. In June, everybody's graduating. They're going to awards assemblies. It's very tough. The bulk of our orders come in online. And then July, everybody's on vacation. Yeah. So it's really tough. And, I've had moments where I'm like, oh my God, we're done. Like I messed up. I did something, but then I look back at the books and I'm like, oh, we had a dip here last year. Yeah. And then the next week's busy. And I'm like, okay, we're good. It's like that roller coaster. So it is helpful when you can kind of, like you say, be data driven and look and say, okay, these are the patterns. I just need to budget a little bit better to have some surplus here and go forward like that.
It is. It's hard, especially transitioning between industries. Mm-hmm. A lot of people would think it would be the same. It is not.
Very different.
So I would be able to tell you, if there's a picnic holiday, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, if it's rainy, we're open. Yeah. If I'm running a restaurant, you are open. That is going to be a super busy day. Yeah. If it's sunny, you're closed. Yeah. It is not the same for retail. No. I have pulled my hair out thinking, okay, I'm going to close this day, or okay, I feel comfortable closing. I'll offer, 15% to go online or something. Yeah. And then I get all these messages, are you open today? Are you open today? And I'm like, damn it.
I know.
What is wrong? I
know.
It is. I know. Yeah, I'm flying by the seat of my pants, and I'm trying I'm trying to cut myself some slack. Yes. Because, take a little grace with it, and whatever comes my way, comes my way. I've got a lot of good things going on, so hopefully it'll even out.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you. And is there anything, any big lesson or anything that you've learned that you think if anybody's listening that they should hear that would have saved you some time or anything to round out the show with our therapy session here?
Yeah. I would say I'm a perfectionist when it comes to details. Stop trying to be so perfect. Yeah. Stop trying to wait for things to be perfect to start. Yes. Or to, do something new, or it doesn't always have to be perfect. Yeah. I would say that it's caused me a lot of issues. Yeah. Just trying to wait until everything is just so. Yeah. To be able to launch something or do this, it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah. Because other people are not going to see it the way that you are. You're your own worst enemy.
Yep. Biggest critic.
Yep. So stop trying to be so perfect and just do it. Yeah. Do what makes you happy.
And have you been happy with the shift?
What shift?
Into retail from your world of yes. It's been a good move.
It is. It's one of the coolest fucking things I've ever done. Yeah. I can't believe that I did it. Yeah. But I am so happy that I did, to just be my own boss and call the shots and to go with my gut instinct instead of, having to bring it to somebody else and say, what do you think? And then have them turn you down. I am Frank Sinatra. I'm going to do it my way.
Yep.
And that's what I love about this.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to make a mistake, I'm going to make a mistake. But you better believe that I'm going to learn from it.
Yep.
And I'm coming back. So, it's pretty cool.
Well, it's awesome. I love having you in this space. I think it's really great that we can share these things with each other. Because like I say, I've said this on the show so many times, entrepreneurship can be a wildly lonely experience. And like I say, and as a self-critic, a lot of times I thought it was just me.
No.
I thought I just, I don't have a degree, so that's why I keep messing this up, or that's why this is hard. And then it's like, oh, wait, no, it's not. So that's why I wanted to share that with you and be like, just so you know, it's not you. No. Like, this is really a hard time.
It really is.
And it's okay. And so, if anybody is thinking about starting a business or is in business and, frazzled or has a question, I think Amanda would agree with me, like, reach out. We're open. I think it's really good to have a community, where we can say to each other, like, hey, are you guys slow this week? And because if it is, it's like, whew, all right, good. We'll ride it out till next week.
Not a mistake. Yeah.
So, well, it's so exciting. I can't wait to see what you do next. And you're far enough in now, you can start to see the milestones and see the growth. And I think you're going to have a hell of a Christmas. So we'll have to come back after and unpack everything. So guys, if you enjoyed this episode or think someone needs to hear this message, please share it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching and listening. Be sure to follow us on all the socials: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.